What is up, everybody, and welcome to Behind the Kit episode 15. Oh my gosh, guys, episode 15. This is the final episode of season 1. I cannot believe it, you guys. This Behind the Kit series has meant so much to me, and I'm so appreciative to all of you guys for clicking, watching, listening, liking, sharing, subscribing, everything under the sun. Thank you so much. This series has been educational, it has been fun, it has been entertaining, and I have made some incredible friends along the way. And every single person in season 1 is gonna have a part 2 in the future. Maybe season 2, maybe season 3, who knows where Behind the Kit is going from here. But again, none of this would be possible without all of you, but then also all the incredible drummers and members of our drum industry that made the time, made the commitment to jump on the channel and provide resources, education, stories, and so much more to each and every one of you. So thank you, everybody, for watching, listening, and being part of Behind the Kit. I'm so excited, you guys, because we have over 20 episodes already filmed for season 2. They just need to be edited and uploaded. But guys, season 2 is shaping up to be even bigger than season 1, and I cannot wait for you guys to see the guests that we have. But on today's episode of Behind the Kit, we have none other than Mr. Mike Sleath. Now, you may know him from playing with all kinds of different pop artists like Shawn Mendes and Miley Cyrus, Camila, Cabello, but he's most notably, he is known for being the drummer of Shawn Mendes, playing all over the world to tens of thousands of people and really showcasing what it takes to be a professional drummer at the highest level. So without further ado, I'm gonna be quiet and we'll jump into the interview. There's so much to be learned from this interview. We have a ton of fun, as always. So with that, let's get into it. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Behind the Kit. I am so excited to be joined by Mr. Mike Sleath. Mike, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much.
Hello, how are you? How's everything? Thank you for having me.
Of course, I'm doing fantastic. I hope you're doing well as well.
Oh yeah, very good.
Awesome. Well, thank you for making the time. You know, I really appreciate it. We got kind of connected through just watching your stuff on Instagram. You know, obviously, we're going to get into all of the fun, but, you know, with Shawn Mendes and your current gig and everything else that you've done in between, you are truly a modern working drummer with great feel. Of course, great attention to detail. You are a pro through and through. So it was a no-brainer to have you here on the channel. And I'm going to start with where I start with everybody, which is what brought you to the instrument? Like, what was the first kind of your first experience with it, and what made it the thing that you knew you wanted to do?
Yeah, like, well, my uncle is a drummer. So very early on, he always had drums set up. So I would sort of just like open up his door and just like check them out. And he had this Ludwig kit from, I think it was like early 70s, and he just had this like big 2 bass drums, all of the toms, and a gong behind it, and all this stuff. And so I used to just poke my head in and just kind of like tap around and all this stuff. And yeah, it was just a love affair from the beginning. Yeah.
I love that, love affair. I think another common term we use on this Behind the Kit series is it's an affliction as well. Like it makes us, it's like, it's an addiction. We're sick. We're obsessed. But it's the common thing between all drummers. We all.
Yeah. There's just something about them, you know, like, I don't know, they're loud. I don't know, they look pretty cool. And you feel cool when you're playing them, so yeah.
Absolutely. That Ludwig kit sounds awesome too. 2 bass drums, big toms, like just ripping. I bet it sounded ridiculous.
Yeah, he's from that era where they had the speed. Yeah, he has Ludwig's Speed King. So Speed King? Grind King. No, Grind King is the skateboard trucks. Speed King is the pedal. So he had those old school Speed Kings that he was saying are the greatest pedals ever. and then I got him turned on to. I played the Tama. Sorry, I'm still waking up. What are those like Tama? Those
The Iron Cobras?
the Iron Cobras. I got him turned on to the Iron Cobras. Now the Iron Cobra is the greatest pedal. I haven't got him turned on to the DW ones yet, but I need to. But yeah, he had all of that, and it was just. Oh, and then on top of that, he had beside that, he had a little Simmons. It was actually. I actually have it now. But it's the very. It was one of the first electronic kits that ever was. It was like. I think it was from like '84 or something like that. It was like one of those early Simmons kits. So he had that too. So then right away it was like, yeah, I got it kind of introduced to like, early electronics as well as like this like early Ludwig. Yeah, good.
Was it like one of the ones that had like like hexagonal pads or whatever?
Yeah, and every single time you hit them, they destroyed your arms because it's pretty much just like hitting like pieces of plywood or something, and they sound very questionable, but very cool.
Oh my God, that's awesome. So, you obviously grew up young age, you got electronic drums, you got big physical drums or acoustic drums. What was it that that switch that went off where you were like, I want to do this for a living? Like, this is the thing I want to pursue as a career.
So what happened? Well, I sort of like very early on, before I had drums and before I got drums a little bit later. So I was really young when, I was probably like maybe like 5 or 6, kind of like that. He always just had a drum set up. And it wasn't until I was about like 8 that my brother got me drumsticks and a practice pad, which I still have and use all the time. This practice pad is older than my girlfriend. But yeah, so he got me this practice pad, and I was about 8, and I think I was about 10 when my parents got me my first drum set. But yeah, so very, very early on, before I had drums, I had like 2 of my best friends. One got a guitar for Christmas or something, and then so he got a guitar. So then he was a guitar player, and then I was the drummer, even though I didn't have drums. And then my other friend was the bass player because we needed a bass player. So then the 3 of us, as soon as we just started playing music together, and that was just our thing. So like. Yeah, so like I would I'd practice all week, and then Sunday would come along, and then they would all come over to my house, and we would have band practice, and it's kind of like, oh, let me show you what I learned this week. Like, oh, I learned this thing. I learned this. Like now I can play like a version of First Date by Blink-182 or something like that. Like I can do whatever I think First Date is. So very early on, I've always just been playing with people. So I'm very. Yeah, so from an early age, I was just very comfortable with working with other people and working with other musicians and all that kind of stuff.
Isn't it funny how that happens? Like I remember one of the first bands I was in, 2 quick stories. One, it's Joey Jordison and Slipknot is what got me kind of like hooked, like started. So 99, hearing that album, like, okay, if you can do that, I want to do that. But it's funny, I didn't have a double kick pedal or 2 bass drums, so I'm playing like, the double bass stuff on like my floor tom and my right, my foot, trying to figure it all out. And then you fast forward a little bit, and similar to your story, like the band that really got me started on the path, this guy comes up to me, his name is Michael, he's a good friend of mine, and he goes, hey, you play drums, right? And that was the only time we'd ever talked to each other. And I'm like, yeah, I play drums. He's like, cool, I want you to join my band. And that was like, that was it. But to your point, like that you start playing with people, you start writing your own music, you start playing out live, and then it's like, oh, I caught the bug. Like I have to do this. Like there's nothing else for me. Like it's insane. So then you fast forward. And you're playing with Shawn Mendes to, God, tens of thousands of people. How did that opportunity come about? How did you kind of get linked up with Shawn and that crew?
Yeah, so yeah. So to finish that whole thing, sorry, I fell off the track. But yeah, like there was never like kind of one moment where it was sort of like, okay, this is gonna be my job. I just always really liked doing it, so I just continued doing it, and then doing it, and then, yeah, and then at some point, it just became a job. Not that it's like, you know what I mean, but at some point it's just, oh, okay, I can make a living doing this. But then, yeah, so I had been working with a lot of, like, I'm from Canada. I live in Toronto. So I had just been working with kind of like all of the up and coming artists in Canada. It was like I was looking at some Facebook memory the other day. It was like I was just playing with every single, all of the artists who had sort of like a big single in Canada and stuff. So like summers were just insane, but none of them were really touring. So it'd be like, you know, I'd play in one city with one artist, then jump on a plane and then fly across the country and play with another artist at some festival. And they all just had big radio singles and stuff. So I was like working and touring a lot. And then, yeah, so like, and then like I kept on hearing about the Shawn Mendes guy, Shawn Mendes. And I remember I was like driving from a rehearsal, and I was like, this one artist that I've been working with, who he has a lot of success over here. He was like telling me about Shawn Mendes, and I was like, who is this guy? Who is it? Like, and it was when his first single came out. He started doing a lot in the States, and I was literally, so I was leaving this rehearsal, and I'm sitting at a red light, and the song came on the radio, and I was like, I need to play with that guy. I'm like, and I knew nobody associated with him or anything. This has happened several times throughout my life where I've sort of just like envisioned getting a gig or doing something like that, and I've just really like focused on that. And so this was one of those times, and I remember like vividly. I was still living in my parents' house and all this stuff, and yeah, so I was just like sitting at this red light, and I'm like, that's where I need to be. And then, like days, maybe a week later, I got a call from a friend of mine who had been writing with Shawn. He was like, Shawn's about to go on tour with Taylor Swift. Like, so Shawn opened, I don't remember what tour, it might have, I don't know. I don't know Taylor Swift that well, but he was opening for her for one of these tours. But then this guy called me and he's like, Mike, clear your schedule. You're going on the road with Taylor Swift. The tour starts in 2 weeks. Start learning his songs and all this stuff. And I was kind of like, this sounds too good to be true. I'm like, I'm not about to give up all of my work just on this. So I was like, I'm going to hold off for a second. So then the Taylor Swift tour started, and he was always planning on doing that entire thing acoustically. But then, about a week after that, this musical director, his name's Dan Cantor, at the time he was Justin Bieber's musical director, and so he got called, like Shawn started getting like some real momentum, so he got called to put together that band. And then, so I was one of two people being considered for it, and I went out and auditioned, and I guess it went pretty well, and they hired me, and that was like, I've been with them for 10 years now, so it's been a long run.
That's awesome. You know, it's funny you mention that because I'm a big fan of like manifestation, or like, you know, the universe will provide. Like, we can get into all the woo we want to get into, but you know, when you want something and you're willing to do the work, you're willing to push for it, you're willing to chase it, like you can get there. Even if you don't have any contacts or anything like that, it's like it's like almost, again, back to the affliction. It's like, it's on my mind. It is eating my brain. I'm going to make this thing happen. And then when you do, and you're like, yes, like I could do this again, and I could do this again. This is going to sound so silly, but like, I am in charge of my own destiny. Like, I can make this stuff happen. And I am curious though. So you're in this audition, you know, there's two of you, top two. You know, what was that process like? You know, were you in a rehearsal space? Did you actually have to go out to like the arena? Like, what did that look like to kind of get into that zone?
Yeah. So what I do when if I'm preparing for an audition or or just kind of anything, but whenever there's like a new artist or there's something that I really, really, really want, I learn every single thing that they've ever done. I'll like go through and learn every single song they've ever released, any cover they've ever put out, because the covers are a big thing. So I learn absolutely everything. I try to just like really insert myself into their career. Because like as a sideman, my job is to support the artist in whatever way I can possibly do it. So so I really just I'll learn absolutely everything. Songs that I know they're never going to play or anything like that. So specifically for the Shawn audition, I went in and at that point I don't even think he had an album out. He just had a series of singles. So I had a friend who this is actually a funny story. I have a friend he was in Shawn's with I think Universal take care of him in Canada. So I have a friend who got an advanced copy of his first album and sent it to me. So so I learned every single song, but he has this one song called Something Big, and it was one of his like very early singles. But the version he sent me was about like 15 BPM faster than the actual version. So I took this entire album home and I knew Something Big was going to be one of the ones that they wanted me to play. So there's a lot going on in this song. It's like there's a lot of like marching band kind of like that kind of stuff. But I was like, if I can do all of these things, how impressed would they be? You know? So I had a tambourine on my hi-hat. I had like an SPDSX with claps loaded and all this stuff. So I was doing like claps and all this tom work and all these things. But I learned it at a pretty quick tempo. And we get into the rehearsal and they're like, okay, have you learned Something Big? I'm like, yeah, of course, no problem. They start playing it and it was like, and then so I start going and I'm like fumbling through it because I'm used to it. I worked my ass off at this one specific tempo. And then we get in there and it's way slower. And so I start playing and then I get through it. Like I kind of fumbled through it and I went to him and I was like, is this the right version? They're like, yeah. Like, this is the version that's on radio. I was like, oh, I'm like, I definitely learned the wrong version. So then I was like, do you mind if I play that one more time? And then I played it at like the proper tempo. But I had all the things happening. Like I was so proud of. And now Shawn refuses to play it live, so it was all for naught. We haven't performed that song one time live.
Really? Never live? Not once?
Nah, he refuses to play it.
Oh my gosh!
And it was a pretty big single for him. I think it was his first, maybe second single. I don't know. It was a big one though. He won't play it.
That's hilarious. You know, it's funny because, and I imagine you operate in this world too, but there will be the album version. There'll be a live arrangement version of a song. So when that's occurring, even in this situation, are you kind of involved in developing that arrangement and building it out, or is it just another situation where it's like, nope, you got to learn this, play it this way. This is the version we want to play it live.
No, we operate very much like a band. Like, obviously, the final say is all Shawn, obviously. But before we're about to, when we get into the rehearsal room and stuff, normally it's just like the band. There's the main, it's this guy Eddie on keys, and then Zubin is the musical director. He plays guitar, and then a bass player. His name's Dave. And we've just recently added a violin player named Morgan and a acoustic guitar player named Megan. So essentially it's just we work out all these arrangements and and then kind of present them to Shawn. So it's sort of like if this one song needs to, if we're looking at like one song is going to roll into another song, then we kind of like think, okay, we have to get from this key to this key. How can we do that like most gracefully? Or like, oh, the song's in the same key. Like, what's a nice way to transition between these two songs? So we kind of like come up with a bunch of different ideas and then sort of present them to Shawn. And like 9 times out of 10, he loves them. But then a lot of times, as musicians, like we like to push it pretty far. And he's very much like he's a purist. So he'd be like, you know what? Instead of doing that like slick transition, let's just like end the song and then start a new song. Like, because he doesn't like. He's not trying to be like that slick. Like he doesn't like when things seem too slick, he's like, there's something wrong with it. Like there's something nice about let's just do the simple way or whatever. So we always try to. I at least always try to fit in. Like, oh wait, look at this fill I can do. Like as drummers, we love to do that kind of stuff. Like, oh, just check this out. But it's like, maybe that's too much. And maybe it comes across in like, comes across in a live thing where you're trying to you're trying to be too slick. There's something nice about like just the simple version sometimes,
It's funny you mentioned that. So one, that's cool that like, again, you guys get to, really focus on being a band and, creating the arrangements, obviously serving the artist. That's job number one, but being able to still infuse some of your, your tasty licks or whatever the things are. It's funny. There was this band I was playing with called Zombies where, one of their most popular songs, I threw this like super tasty fill and like the last, one of the last, I guess, measures of the last chorus, just because I'm like, why not? Let's do it. And the band loved it. Because we would rehearse it. It was fun. It sounded really good. And then of course we get the singer in there and he's like, I have no idea where we are anymore because that fill is just all over the place. And so, but to your point, like it sounds good in the music. It sounds good as a band, but like if the singer can't like follow it, then who cares? So we just pulled it back and simplified it. But I do want to go back really quick to the rehearsal for a second. And it ties into this, obviously playing live with Shawn as well, but like that preparation is so crucial when it comes to, you went in and you could have just learned the songs as they were, went in there and played them and hope for the best, but you were like, no. I want to take this to the next step further. I want to show you that I could play whatever you need me to play with whatever tools I have at my disposal to get that done. And I think that you mentioned this at the very beginning too, of like having, access to electronic drums as well as acoustic drums. And I think more and more it's a requirement to have a hybrid setup. But I think that it just seems so natural for you to have that live set or the hybrid setup live. So, what is your thought process when you're like, building out a kit, whether it's building it out for the live show, the rehearsal, any other artists, what are you kind of thinking of as you're building that out?
Yeah. So I did, this is last year, I did a world tour with a girl named Ava Max. And so it's real like, it's real pop music, like super, super dance pop kind of stuff. So everything is just programmed. And I actually did that with this Dan Cantor guy as well. He was the MD for Ava Max as well as for Bieber, and he was the early one for Shawn. So he was like, let me just send you all of the stems and just cut apart whatever like sounds you want, and then we'll like address it. We'll address it when we get into rehearsals. So I went and like chopped up every single sample. So so when I'm like learning songs right away, I'm thinking, okay, I should probably take that clap, or I should take that. Maybe I could layer that on my snare. Or layer this kick pattern the kick sample and all that kind of stuff. So like when I'm learning songs, I instantly start thinking, okay, is this going to be an electronic element, or am I going to try to replicate it somehow acoustically, or, is maybe that, so if there's like a tambourine or something like that, okay, maybe I can, it all comes down to whatever the MD or the artist want, but like I constantly think like, okay, maybe that's something that we could leave on tracks, and then I could do the clap, or if there is like a tambourine kind of thing, like, I'm not even going to try to play that. Let's just, like, that can be a percussion element that just stays on, it could be like the percussion stem or whatever. So like, I always like really try to break it down, but then what I do is I chart everything out. So yeah, when I'm learning a song, like, even if the song is so easy and it's just, it's like the form is just mindless kind of thing, I still chart it out, and then I'll write little notes like, okay, there's a tambourine part here, so that if I'm in rehearsal, I can be like, oh, do you want me to cover that tambourine part? Because there could be something where it's like, we're gonna, like, you just play the percussion for the first first verse, chorus, and then don't come in with drums until the second thing. So I still need to like learn. I still make sure that I know all of the percussion parts, all that stuff. But I think it's also important to have. And my memory isn't like, I can't just learn like an hour show and just have it completely internalized and ready for rehearsal. So I chart everything out so that when we're in rehearsal and the guy, the MD is like, okay, for this part, like Dan Cantor likes to use a lot of, like, he's a rock guy. So even though we're playing the poppiest of pop music, you'll be like, no, do the Enter Sandman Tom groove for for this pre-chorus or something like that. So like, I can't be in a rehearsal and it's like we go through the song and he's like, okay, for verse 2, you're gonna do this beat. For pre-chorus 2, you're gonna do the Enter Sandman beat, but and then like it goes that quick. So right away, whenever anything stuff happens, I'm like, can you just give me 1 second and just like write all this stuff out? And then I have like a blueprint. So then when I play it back, I can be like, okay, the first time I'm going to do this Enter Sandman. The first pre-chorus, I'm going to do Enter Sandman. Then the second pre-chorus, I'm going to do Enter Sandman, but adding a snare or something. And then, so I always have this blueprint of how it all goes, because rehearsals happen really fast, like, with Shawn, fortunately, they a lot of budget for rehearsals and stuff, so it doesn't move that quick. But yeah, with some projects, it's just like, you're getting through 5 songs a day or something, and completely changing every single thing that you've learned. You can do as much pre-work as you want, but a lot of things change on the day. So I do know drummers that don't read or write, and they somehow get through amazingly, but I am not one of those guys. Like, I need to have it. I need to have something in front of me so that I can write down every single thing, because I'll forget.
Absolutely. Whenever I get a new gig, whatever it is, I'll buy a composition notebook and I will learn their songs and I will start charting it out. And in some cases, you have Gavin Harrison, who was interview number 2, where he'll like write the notes, and put it on a stave, and it'll be exactly what he's going to play. And then, or like Travis Orban, or you have somebody like me, or maybe your musical director, where I might put Enter Sandman, or I might put this is the Slayer riff, or I might put this, just enough for me to remember, because because it's like, while I'm rehearsing, I just want to make sure I can get through the songs and they're comfortable, and I hit every motion, because once repetition comes in, it's like, all right, when we play live, I'll be fine. But I just need almost like a little cheat sheet. I just need and for me, I'm one of those people who, like, once I write it down, it's pretty much in there. And I have my it's like I have my reference, I have a little safety net, but it's crucial. I can't remember who I was talking to, and it's the good and the bad of doing so many of these interviews. But it was the same thing. There was a drummer who, incredible drummer, and never charts, just memorizes it and goes out there and plays it. And I'm like, never could be me. It couldn't be.
I would not be able to do that. Like, but like, it's just like you could be in a rehearsal and like the album, the album, the bridge is 8 bars long. But okay, now for the live version, we want to add 16 on top of the 8 or something like that. Or so I can never just remember all that. Like, I think it's crazy. Yeah, and then even when I do a gig sometimes too, I'll like my set list will just be like, bring out this ending, or like even within that, once you learn the gig, different sets have different endings and different beginnings and different everything. So like, yeah, I don't know how people do it. I am not one of those guys either.
No, I agree with you, dude. And it's like the charting is crucial. And when I was a younger player, I never charted because I pretty much only ever did original music, which when we're all young, that's what we do. And so like obviously it's your stuff. It's a little bit easier to remember, but since getting into the cover game and then now just being a hired gun where I play with whoever, it doesn't matter what type of music it is, like, oh my gosh, it is invaluable to have just to sit down and like dedicate time. And that's the other thing. So all of this ties into a core concept of this channel and a core concept of like what this series is all about, which is like preparation is the most important piece of being a professional in this industry that we're in. Not only in standing out against maybe audition person 1, 2, 3, or 4, but also once you get the gig, it's like our whole job is to satisfy the artist, to help realize their vision, help them connect with their audience. So that way, at the end of the day, you don't have 70,000 people there staring at you and wondering what's going on. You have 70,000 people there dancing, having a good time. They're laughing, they're singing along, and it's in my opinion, maybe not at the pro level, but as folks are coming up, preparation is just not appreciated in the way that I think it should be, because that's where the work comes in. That's really, if you've done all of that up front, then once you're there sitting behind the kit, you could just have fun and just focus on bringing energy and having a good show.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like the pre-work. When if you go, like if you're negotiating for like a tour or something like that, and the artist is, I don't know, it's just the amount of work that goes in beforehand. It's like I wasn't being paid for any of that work. So now, yeah, so I show up and everything is just easy. You show up and it just, all the songs are learned, you go through them. If they're like, oh, for this one section I want to do this, cool, okay, like it's done. Further. But yeah, it's I think, even with bars hiring bands, or they're kind of like, oh, well, you want to be paid how much? Like, it's like, but you didn't see, you just see the top of the iceberg. Like, you didn't see all of this work that I did to make sure that your job was, or your gig, everything sounds good, your life, everything is just super easy. So people don't see that. So it's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. So Dre Hemby from Teddy Swims, he said a drummer should be oh my God, he's the best. But he said,
I think I was talking to him. I think we did the European Music Awards with them, I think, last year. He's unbelievable. He's a great drummer.
Yeah, and he's an incredible dude. It's funny, we sat down and I was just like blown away, because he said this one thing though, which is now like my mantra, which is, a great drummer should be an asset, not a liability. And to your point, like, if you've already done all your crap, I say crap, lovingly, but if you've already done all your crap, it's like, and I can come in and I can pivot and I can change, I can be adaptable, and I'm like, hey, I didn't like that thing you did. Cool. Let's work on it. We'll change it. I don't take any of this personally, yeah. And it's one of those things where, one of the things I like to say is if you lead with professionalism, maturity, and grace, you're pretty much going to be in a good spot, because that's all people want. They want a professional who's going to treat you like, you're going to be treated like a professional if you treat others like that. You have to have the maturity to, again, when you get called out, or you're like, hey, I don't like that part, or whatever it is, and you recognize, okay, I probably need to improve here or change here, whatever it is, but also I should be able to receive that feedback and just say, yep, great, let's do it, whatever you need. And then the grace part of it is everybody's going to mess up. It's inevitable. You're going to have an issue, but having the grace to say, you know what, that's okay. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to push forward. I think that's so important when it comes to getting the gig, but then also keeping it. And I think that's a crucial piece. But you started to talk a little bit about negotiation and like how to get I'm going to say how to get your worth, but in a gig, do you have any kind of general tips? Obviously we don't want to call anybody out, but any general tips on like, what can you do to protect yourself in those situations when you are negotiating for a tour?
It's very difficult. Everybody talks about what's your rate. Rate, that's very that can fluctuate a lot. I don't. I sort of just like. I'll kind of look at like how badly I want to do something, how free I am. There's probably a lot of people who think very differently about this, but like, kind of be like, like if I have nothing going on and it's like, oh, it's a 2-week tour or something like that. I sort of think about what my day would be worth in that. I always try to do like a day rate. So it's like how much, obviously there's numbers I don't go for, but like, it's like, what's my day worth? And like, I kind of look at the shows. It's like, oh, if there's a lot of shows, that kind of sounds like fun. Where are we going? What are we doing? Who are the people I'm going with? How bad is like the travel and all that kind of stuff? And I just pull that all into consideration. And then, I've always kind of done that. Like, I like playing music and I like traveling and all this kind of stuff. So like, it's always pretty good. But then you have to, you got to like set a precedent for yourself. Like, is my day, like now I'm at a point where I travel a lot. So it's kind of like, is that worth me even walking out my front door? Like I don't spend a lot of time at home. So like fortunately I just got home. I flew in last night. So now I'm at home for about a week or something. And then I head back out with Shawn. So it's kind of like I'm at a point where I love being at home. I love like going to the grocery store and doing stuff like that. So if somebody right now was like, oh, can you come do this for anything less than I would want to leave my house for, I would probably say no. But at the end of the day, if you're playing music, it's not bad, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, one of the things that I've learned, and just as I've kind of gotten back out here and started to take these gigs, is initially you're like, yes, give me the gig, I want to do it. Which I think when you're starting, do it. Do that. Don't do anything that's less than what you're worth, but obviously get the experience, get out there and play. And then as I've gotten older, it's like, and as I've gotten more experience, there's a part of me that's like, well, what type of music is it? Because what level of preparation am I going to have? If it's like a technical metal show, it's going to take me a little bit longer to learn those songs than if it's a pop gig or if it's a rock gig or something, but to your point, it's, I have a daughter, I am married, I have my house, I have all this stuff. And it's like, if I'm going to go out and put any of that at risk, it's got to be, it's got to be worth it. And, you really have to, it's something that, I'm just kind of dropping all these people we've interviewed, but Anthony Gazelle said, he was the very first one. And he said, sometimes you have to put yourself first. And, I think that's so crucial because just the reason I asked the question is a lot of times, whether it's not valuing your preparation, valuing the fact that you've been doing this for however many years or whatever it is, like a lot of guys will just say yes. And without even talking through rates or what that looks like. And it's okay to negotiate. It's okay to have that conversation and say, hey, I really think we should be closer to this because of these reasons. I just started factoring in preparation into my rating, because again, it is like a huge part of the job.
Well, that's the thing. Like if you're like, it would be one thing if somebody was like, if you're going to do a cover gig or like something like that, and it's like, okay, you just look through the song list, it's like Sweet Child of Mine and like Sweet Home Alabama or any of the sweet songs that you end up playing. Like, if you just look through that and it's like, okay, yeah, I'll jump on stage and I don't have to do anything. Like I know all these songs, so I'll just jump on and play that. But it's like you say, it's like the preparation. No matter what, you can't get away from it. Either you know the songs or you don't know the songs. So it's like, so if I'm looking and somebody's like, oh, you want to come out for X amount of dollars, like it's going to take me a week to get through this entire set to learn all of your music. So is that worth it? Spending a week just, charting out your songs, memorizing your songs, and all this kind of stuff. And so that's, like you say, that's definitely something to take into consideration. Like, you can't get away from that work. No matter what, it's gonna take that.
Yeah, or you're gonna have a really weird show, and you're never gonna get hired again.
I've had it too with some gigs where they're like, there's gonna be no rehearsals, but here's an hour set that you need to learn. So it's kind of like, so I'm listening to some other drummer like play all this music, and it's like, well, I wouldn't do it like that, but I know the artist is expecting it like that. So, and I always find too, when the song's bad, it takes twice as much effort to learn it. Like a good song is so easy to learn. It takes you're just kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's why that would happen. But then learning bad music too, that's something to consider. When somebody asks me to do a gig, and it's like, okay, how bad is the music? If it's good music, it's like, I know I'm going to fly through this. I'm going to be able to learn it really quickly. But learning bad music is really hard.
Oh, trust me. I'm not going to talk about any names, but I had that experience just recently. I had two kind of gig offers, and one was just, awful. And I was like, I'll learn it, I'll do it, but it's awful. Then the other offer came through, and it's like these awesome just rock songs that are like super like emotional, and they're big and they're fun. And I learned like their hour set in like a day or two, because I'm like, this is so much fun. Like, I just want to play these songs over and over again. And you'll do the work regardless, but it is definitely easier when you're like, yeah, this is how I would play the song anyway. Like, this just feels natural, But the other piece, we didn't talk about this, but I think it's important, is, we talked a little bit about the hybrid, the kit setup, all that stuff, but like, all of that also is taken into consideration. I have pro level equipment. I know how to do all these things. It's tuned, it's ready. Maybe I come with a drum tech. Maybe I have endorsements, whatever it is. And so I'm curious, all that being said, what gear comes to mind for you that you're like, I swear by this when I'm touring. I cannot go on a tour without this piece of gear. What's like that first thing that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, well, it's definitely using the companies. Like, so I endorse DW. I'm with Roland. I'm newly with Zildjian. I was with Sabian, and then so I just got with Zildjian, and then it's kind of just like you need your tools, and so I don't feel confident when for instance, we did this gig this weekend, and they didn't have any of my backline, and I had to use all this random stuff. But I'm with Remo drum heads, and I had to use just all, like, I had to piece together this whole thing. It's really hard. Like, playing drums that you're not used to, it's really hard. Like, you can't, like, I notice it a lot, even, like, not even talking about the sound of the drums, but even just, the placement of the rim on the drum head. I find when I'm playing something that's not DW, it hurts my wrists. It hurts like everything. It just doesn't work. So, so I find just having your tools is very important to be able to do your gig. Like if somebody put, like I do a lot of programming, and so I know Roland interfaces, through and through. I've programmed like every single show for the last 10 years on Roland machines. But if somebody were to put the Yamaha, like it would be an entire day just to learn how to use the Yamaha thing, or yeah.
I think most of the tours I've done, I'm using backline, so I'm using, somebody else's drums, or like they're bringing in a set of drums, and sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're DWs, sometimes they're not the best drums. I remember I did this show beginning of this year on like a 1998 Mapex Mars kit, and honestly sounded really good, but still it was falling apart. I was like pulling everything back together as I'm playing, and it's like, as drummers, if you're professional, we can get through it, but it's like we're never going to be able to look, I'll say this: I'm never going to be able to tour with that kit. I could play a show with that kit, sure, but I can't go on a tour. And like, that's one of the things that's really shaped my mind as I've grown and as I've gotten more experience and more exposure. Is like, if I'm going to go on tour, I'm going to be gone for several weeks. What's going to hold the test of time? What's going to be there with me? And then also, what feels the most natural? Even if I had to do a snare, a kick, and a hi-hat because there's no room for anything else, what's the snare, kick, and hi-hat that I feel most comfortable with? And what do I want to take on the road? And it's so crucial. But speaking of the road and being out there, like you mentioned, sometimes it's a couple weeks, sometimes it's probably a couple months. And you don't get to be home and grocery shopping and all that fun stuff. What is your routine before you hit the stage? Like, do you have any rituals, habits, any, mantras, things like that?
Yeah. I'm a big, it depends, I don't know, it depends what, a lot of times I can't dictate what my day is going to be. So sometimes you wake up on a bus and you're just inside an arena, or you wake up on a bus and you're in the middle of this festival and you wake up to somebody sound checking a kick drum or something like that. But then sometimes, it just totally depends, but my day is always focused around the show. So my ideal day would be I wake up and, go to the gym, have a nice breakfast. One of the first things I always do is I always warm up my hands a little bit, just I'll have my coffee in the morning and I'll just be working on a pad and just kind of focusing in on the show. And then at the gym, normally I like to listen to a show record and just sort of, it puts me at ease to just kind of be okay, this is what I'm going to do tonight. Cause when you're moving back and forth between different gigs or different sets and stuff like that, I like to just focus in okay, it doesn't matter. None of those other things matter. Today I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing today. So I like to focus in on that. And normally that's a listen through. And ideally, in a perfect world, I like to have a nap before I'm about, my favorite thing to do is, you go sound check, come back to the hotel, and nap. With Shawn, we're mostly they're all headlines. So, we're on stage for 2 hours or something, and, there's 100,000 people out there. So, my favorite thing to do is sound check, come back, maybe hit the treadmill or something like that, and then I close all the blinds. I call it a LeBron because LeBron James famously he naps for an hour before before games. So I love to go down for a light LeBron. Maybe I'm not sleeping for a full hour, but I try to. And I'm talking hotel blinds closed, everything turned off, phone on do not disturb, and I just an hour of a full-on sleep. And then you wake up, you have another coffee, and then you're okay. Now I'm beginning the evening portion of my day. You shower, you get ready for the show, warming up constantly. And my big thing too is I do a lot of push-ups and stuff. I do a lot of things to get my arms I'll do jumping jacks for 5 minutes. I do a lot of things to get my blood flowing and stuff. And I notice as I've been as I've been in this for longer, I can feel when I start playing. I can feel when I'm getting tense or whatever on stage. So I feel it immediately in my wrists. And so fortunately, I'm at a place where I can sort of just change what I'm doing. Kind of we did this festival tour at the beginning of the year. Where literally there's 150, 175,000 people in front of you. So it's kind of hard to not have a bit of nerves, And I think it's sort of human to sort of wow, there's a lot of people out there and you sort of just kind of are doing things the way you shouldn't be doing them. But fortunately, I've learned different things as I'm playing to sort of be oh, okay, that's not what you should be doing. Change your... You know what I mean? And I think it's that sort of a thing. Well, maybe only drummers understand, but that thing where you start playing and you get a little tense, and then you get those shooting pains all through your wrists and all this stuff. So, so having the ability to sort of relax and be like, no, that is not right. You're hitting too hard, and like you're hitting harder than you should hit, and now you're causing your body like some serious pain, and you're not going to make it through the rest of the show. So calm down, calm down. So that's a big thing too. Is I'm always just like breathing and focusing, and like I do a lot of like visualizing. It's sort of like a chef once told me what the proper way to butter bread is to do the outsides first, and then the inside takes care of itself. So I do a lot of that. I'll like think of like endings or intros, or like I'll just kind of sit there, and as I'm like warming up, I'll think of like, okay, so this is going to happen, this intro is going to happen, and then somebody's going to tell me like band to stage, and then I come on and I think of the first hits. And if I can think of the first hits and how the show ends, everything else in between just sort of takes care of itself. That's sort of kind of how my days go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I love I'm going to go down for a quick LeBron, but I like that a lot. But no, I mean, it makes sense though. It's like I got 100,000 people out there that all paid their hard-earned money to come see me play this show. Like the least I could do is come at rested and to give all I have to the show. But it's funny you mentioned too, like the only time I ever have pain in my hand or my wrist, especially in here, like when you're really, you're gripping too tight and you're like, I'm going to let go of these sticks if I don't hold it. You start to let the anxiety take over, is when I'm playing a live show. When I'm in here, I could be in here for 10 hours and I'm never going to have that issue. But it's like, oh my God, there's 20, 30, 40,000 people out there. I better not miss, or I better not do this thing. And luckily, to your point, like there's a reason why a lot of times if I don't remember something, again, if I haven't done the work, I'll be like, wait, how does that song start again? And then once I know how it starts, to your point, it's like, oh, I remember how the whole rest of the song goes. Okay, I'm good. And it really is. I like the buttering the edge, because you're right. Like if I can remember how to get into it, and if I can remember how to get out of it, like we're going to be fine. Like this show's going to be fine. And but that I do the same thing. So like when I'm out there, I remember the first, and I got to be mindful because of the time, but I remember the first tour I did with that Zombies band was in Europe. Like we went straight to Europe. We didn't even do US first. And I created what I called a Zombies playlist of what the set list was, and just repeat. Just because I wanted to make sure, I had this in place, and then again, a lot of resting. I remember I got a massage like one of the days in between the tour, because I'm like, I need my arms and my feet, and it was like heavy double bass, fast stuff. So I'm like, I need to be tip top. And it's funny how like if you just make sure that during your day you invest in yourself, so that hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is as I guess what I'm trying to say is, I guess you have as much energy and as much vigor as you can for that. Like I say, take as many LeBrons as you want.
Yeah. Well, there's like it's really like on like, even if you can't go back to the hotel or you can't do anything like that, there's so many pictures of me passed out just with sunglasses and like a hoodie on, with my feet up on, sitting on a couch with my feet on a suitcase or something like that, just napping before. And they never come across very well, but like I wake up from that, even if it's just, if I'm underneath a table in a dressing room, it's like I'm in a basement, there's like rats running around or something. If I could just get like 15 minutes, maybe about an hour before the show, it's the world. It's like, because we have a very physical instrument, and yeah, it takes a lot of energy to play it properly. I mean, I guess it depends on the kind of music, but like even just the mental capacity, like we're doing some really intricate, weird things, like So whatever sort of LeBron you can get. And then wake up and you just have an espresso. If you're in Europe or something like that, lovely coffee. You wake up and you just start. Now we're starting our evening portion of the day, and like so it takes all of your brain capacity and all of your physical body capacity or whatever. Yeah.
I would say there are pictures of me definitely out there. Every green room we've ever been in, sleeping on the couch, like hat over my head, arms crossed, just nobody bother me. I need this, to your point, it might only be 10 minutes, but I'm like, I'm refreshed, I'm ready, let's go, let's do our thing. I'm also the first one to fall asleep and the first one to wake up most of the time, so that doesn't help either. But
fall asleep, but the first one to wake up.
So I'm going to be mindful of time. I have a couple more questions for you, though, so I'm going to try to get through them because there's just so much more I want to talk about. And what I'll tell you is a lot of times, and I shouldn't say a lot of times, every time I have one of these interviews, I never plan accordingly, and I'm like, there needs to be a part 2 now because, I schedule an hour because everybody's so busy and I don't want to take more time, but I'm like, these probably should be 2 hours long. At this point, because there's so many questions I have, but I'm going to go through a speed round of questions, and the purpose of this is the first thing that comes to your mind, but it doesn't have to be quick either. It's just, if anything, it's just what's the first thing that comes to my mind. All right, here we go. So first one, what are some things that you do to stay grounded and creative while on the road?
Practice, listen to music. Listen to podcasts, listen to that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Including now Behind the Kit podcast. I'm just kidding.
That's coming. That's being added to my repertoire.
All right. So speaking of music, though, what is your desert island album? You're on a desert island. You only get one album. What's the one you choose?
Maybe what is it called again? The Van Morrison album, Astral Weeks. Love Van Morrison.
Yeah, I will. What I'll do is I'll tag it down so other people can check it out. Just because I want to share it with you because it's another DW artist. But for me, it's now I can't remember what it's called. Oh my gosh, 13th Step from A Perfect Circle. That would be mine. Yeah, Mr. Josh Freese. What is one piece of advice that you would give to a drummer trying to land a major gig like the ones that you've been able to land?
Just play with absolutely everybody. Will have you. We talked about rates and stuff like that. I think at the beginning, disregard all that. Just I didn't go to school, so my school was playing with every single artist that would possibly have me. And you have to do that. I think you have to do that at the beginning because you learn, you meet people, you do all of the things. So I think just doing as much music as you possibly can.
Absolutely. And if it's okay with me adding one piece to that, and while you're doing that, you need to make sure that you are a good hang, that you're somebody people want to be around, because if you put yourself out there and play with people and you're a dick, you're not going to meet more people and you're not going to get more opportunities.
Yeah, you got to be good. You got to be a nice guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Has your approach to music or drumming, either one, but changed since you started touring at this major level of 100,000 plus people?
Yeah, it's changed. I think it's changed a lot more. The ego, sort of, if you will, has sort of come out of it a lot, and it's just much more about playing things that are appropriate to the song, things that lock in with the vocalist. I'm very aware of vocalists and what they're doing, to the point where even in my chart sometimes I'll be like, oh, the singer hits this tag. Should I hit that tag? Question mark. And then I'll try it out in a rehearsal and I'll have it written down. I think it's changed a lot, and especially playing those kind of rooms. If you're playing a stadium or something like that, sometimes certain fills don't translate as well. And I work with our front of house guy a lot to kind of be like, how does this sound? How is it translating? Because something in a club might not work in a stadium. So.
And it's funny, so you mentioned a couple things in there that I think are super crucial, but I couldn't agree more. The singer is my is my lighthouse. It's my guiding light. So in my in-ear mix, it's always singer first, and then everything is kind of second. Just because one of the things that, obviously we're playing to a click, but in the situations where, like that band I was mentioning earlier, Zombies, they didn't want to play to a click. They wanted it raw and visceral. But I'm listening to the singer's breath. I'm like, if you're out of breath, we're too fast. We got to pull it back. I don't care what everybody else thinks. We got to pull it back a little bit. Or if he's rushing through the lyrics and you can't hear it, okay, let's bring it back. And then similarly, the rock gig I was talking about, that was big, beautiful music. Same thing. I had the click and I had the singer and the backing tracks. That's all I had in my because that's all I needed. It was just, as long as I can hear her, I know we're good. But then
I get pretty embarrassed sometimes because, like, if somebody listens to my mix, they're like, "I'm not in your mix." I'm like, "Oh, really? Oh, that's so weird. Yeah, I'll get them to add you."
You're like, that's interesting. I didn't realize that. I'm sorry.
Weird. Your mix is only tracks and vocal. Oh, is it? There's got to be some click in there too.
Yeah. I don't think you're 100% right, but but then sorry, I just lost my train of thought. There was something else you said that I wanted to jump on, but it's all right. If it comes back to me, I'll bring it up. But I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. When you're not drumming, other than grocery store shopping, what are something that you're passionate about outside of drums?
Honestly, it's got to be my dog. Oh my god, you can see him right here. There's a beautiful rendering of his face. I really, really like to spend a lot of time just playing with him. Love to cook. I cook a lot. Yeah, I love to go to shows. I go to a lot of concerts. Yeah, there's not too much outside of drums. Everything sort of is kind of built around that, but yeah, those are kind of my favorite things.
I agree with that. For me, it's drums, music, dogs, and then obviously my family. I shouldn't say that. It's not in order. It's not in order. Yeah. Okay, if you could jam with any artist, living or not, who would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Like, some days it would be Dave Matthews Band. I love Carter. Carter is possibly my biggest idol. And one of the only members of Dave Matthews Band I haven't met. Which is so frustrating. But yeah, I don't know, like I'd maybe say Michael Jackson would be cool. Man, that's a hard question. As soon as we get off, I'm gonna think of all of the ones that I should have said. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think you can go wrong with Dave Matthews or Michael Jackson though, so I gotta give you kudos on that.
Yeah, but like, does that sound cool? Like, what if people are like, "Oh, this guy's so lame. You want to be in Dave Matthews Band?" Didn't they dump their entire bus on top of a
Dude, Dave Matthews Band is awesome. I want to be in Dave Matthews Band.
Carter is just like unbelievable. Like I've stolen so much from Carter. All of his hi-hat stuff and all that. Like,
yeah, I think I listen to Ants Marching at least once a day.
Yeah, I still I still, when I'm practicing, I'll kind of be like, okay, well, you can have some fun now. I'll put on a Dave Matthews Band record and just sort of try to do all of the things that he does. I'll be fumbling my way through them.
Well, what is it, Under the Table and Drumming, that DVD? It's like, I remember watching that when I was younger and being like, this is everything that you need to be a good drummer. It's just so good, everything.
He did this stuff with Victor Wooten too, that like, there's like 2 or 3 songs or something like that. Those ones, I spent weeks learning what I thought he was doing. And that was a huge, huge lesson for me.
Oh my gosh. And it's funny because, to your point, as drummers, and it's like our influences can be across the spectrum. Like for me, I'm like the bands that come to mind for me are like the Beatles, but then also Slipknot. And then also, so A Perfect Circle, it's like everything in between. And it's like, but just, God, the idea of being able to just well, one, Carter Beaufort's incredible, but just to be able to sit in on any band that you love would be incredible. So it's hard to pick one.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not saying I would do a good job in Dave Matthews Band. It would probably be horrible, but I would have fun.
Yeah, you're like, Dave, this is for me. So you're just gonna have to just enjoy it. But that does bring me to
watch. It wouldn't be good for the other members of the band. There's no way it would be good, but I would have a very good time.
Yeah, I can say the same if I wasn't Dave Matthews. But that's a good segue. What are your three, if you had to limit it to three, I know that there are more, but what are your top three major drumming influences as far as Carter Beaufort and whomever else and things like that?
Definitely Travis Barker was my first. I used to wake up from I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be like, oh damn, I'm still not Travis. Fuck. I remember being like upset when I was like 12 or something like that. I'm like, so Travis is a massive one for me. And then also Carter. There's so many now, but when I was a lot younger, probably like John Bonham was a huge one, like Neil Peart. Probably all of the very obvious answers that you think I'm gonna say. Those were probably like my early ones. Now it's a lot more diverse. Yeah.
Yeah, trust me, I'm with you on that. When I was growing up, it was, because I was just a metal guy, it was Joe Jordison, Chris Adler, like all those guys. And then as I've gotten older, it's like Larnell Lewis and Gavin Harrison and,
He's actually a pretty good friend of mine. He lives right beside my parents' house. Like, say, he's from Toronto. So I've literally run into him at the grocery store. I remember, I was at the grocery store, and I'm there getting ready to cash out, and I look back, and I was like, oh my God, Larnell Lewis is right there. And then he came to me, he's like, Mike, how you doing? I was like, hey, how are you? And I paid and left, and that just made my day. I was like, Larnell knew my name. Doesn't get much better than that, yeah?
Yeah, my God, lucky. But hey,
I think he is possibly the greatest. He's one of my favorite drummers out right now. I think Larnell he's the greatest.
I couldn't agree more. I think Larnell is exceptional. But, with that being said, that was my last question. So what I'll say is, Mike, thank you seriously so much for making the time to join the podcast, join the channel, talk about what it's like to be a modern working drummer, but also just to be a pro. I think everybody who listens to this is going to learn so much from you. And I think the thing that I've learned, other than everything we talked about, is that we need a part 2 of this. And so when you're out with Shawn, I'll come make sure to come and say hi, so long as you guys come to Phoenix.
Absolutely.
And then when time permits, we'll do a part 2, because I have a whole list of questions here we didn't even get to, of just all kinds of things I want to talk about, just to pick your brain and learn from you. But I just have to say, you are setting the bar for what it is to be a pro drummer, and you're helping another generation of drummers learn and approach this instrument in a new way. So I just want to say thank you seriously so much for your time.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And like I said, I'll reach out to you for a part 2. But for now, thank you, and have fun on tour and enjoy being home. That's the biggest thing.
Thank you. I'm going to go grocery shopping right now. I'll have a good time with it.
Tell Larnell I said hi at the grocery store. And
hopefully he's there. Oh my God, imagine.
But thank you, seriously. I appreciate it. And I will talk to you very soon.
Absolutely. Have a lovely day. Okay.
You too. See you, Mike.